Think about the last time you jumped in your car. Your eyes just flip to the dashboard, speed, fuel level, maybe tire pressure, and bam, in a split second, you know exactly what's going on.
Right. No manuals needed.
Exactly. Or picture opening a toolbox, maybe in the kitchen even, where everything has its own spot. You get it instantly, right?
Immediate understanding, yeah.
Yeah.
It saves time, frustration.
Totally. And, well, that's the kind of power we're diving into today, but for the workplace.
It's fascinating, isn't it, how our brains are just wired to process visual stuff so quickly.
Yeah.
Almost instantly.
Yeah.
Applying that natural ability to how we work, it can be, well, surprisingly transformative.
Absolutely. And that gets us right to the heart of this deep dive, visual management. Now, before you just picture a few random signs stacked up somewhere, understand this is actually a core idea in lean manufacturing. It's a whole system designed to make information immediately accessible, understandable for everyone.
Spot on. Lean is all about maximizing value, minimizing waste, right? Visual management is a cornerstone there because it makes the waste, the bottlenecks, any deviation from the standard, it makes it visible.
So you see it instead of having to dig through reports or emails.
Exactly. You don't have to hunt for it.
So for you listening, maybe you want to quickly get a handle on something without getting totally bogged down. Think of visual management as, I guess, your shortcut to understanding a workplace.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
We've gone through some key sources, texts that explain what it is, why it's important, and crucially, how you actually do it. Our mission today really is to pull out the most important nuggets, make it immediately understandable, and maybe even highlight some surprising benefits of this pretty straightforward idea.
We're basically boiling these sources down to the essentials, giving you a clear, actionable grasp of visual management and, what it can actually achieve.
Okay, cool. So let's dig into the why. Why bother? Why is visual management so important now?
Well, fundamentally, it creates this amazing level of clarity and transparency. Imagine walking onto a factory floor or even into an office, and just by looking around, you can see the day's goals, how the team's doing against those goals, maybe the exact steps for a task, all shown visually.
Right, so no more hunting through shared drives for the latest SOP or trying to read messy handwriting.
Exactly. The key stuff is just there, visible.
And that immediate understanding, that must directly impact efficiency, productivity.
Oh, absolutely. Directly and significantly. When everyone clearly sees the goals, the progress, their own role, things just run smoother. There's less confusion, fewer mistakes from misunderstandings, and ultimately, you get more done with less wasted effort. It just flows better.
That makes total sense. If everyone can see the playbook, they know how to play their part.
Precisely.
Now, something that really jumped out at me from the sources was how this helps find and fix problems really fast.
Yes, that's a huge advantage. Think of visual indicators as like an instant feedback loop, almost like a visual alarm.
Okay.
So take a simple color-coded system for tools, maybe on a shadow board. If there's an empty outline where a, say, red-tagged wrench should be,
you instantly know it's missing.
Oh.
Or somewhere else.
Right. It immediately signals a potential issue. Maybe it's lost, maybe it's being used, maybe it's broken. But now. It allows for proactive steps before a small thing becomes a big delay.
Ah, okay. So instead of finding out hours later when you desperately need that wrench and it holds everything up, you see the gap right away.
Yeah.
That seems massive for cutting down time and waste.
It really is. And think bigger picture. When you visually display performance data, how things are actually going, it naturally fosters this culture of continuous improvement.
Yeah.
Teams can see their performance against the target. They can see where they might be falling short.
And that motivates them to figure out why, I guess.
Exactly. It encourages them to look at the root causes, try fixes, and then track if those fixes actually worked, because they can see the results visually.
So it creates this built-in feedback loop, constantly showing where things can get better. And it sounds like this isn't just for managers looking down.
Oh, definitely not. It involves everyone. By making critical info visible to all employees, they get a much better sense of how their specific work fits into the bigger picture.
They see their contribution.
Yes. They see how their actions impact the final outcome. That builds a sense of ownership, accountability, which, really boosts morale and motivation. People like knowing their work matters and seeing how.
So it's really about empowering people with information, not just telling them what to do.
That's a perfect way to phrase it. And for managers, engineers, team leads, Having that real-time visual snapshot of what's happening, it's invaluable for making smart decisions.
How so?
Well, whether you're deciding how to allocate resources or trying to optimize a workflow or even making bigger strategic plans, seeing the current state visually just gives you so much more clarity, less guesswork involved.
Right. You're basing decisions on actual visible reality. So the big takeaway here really feels like visual management isn't just some optional add-on. It's like fundamental for running things well, a key part of any lean approach.
Absolutely. It underpins so much of lean thinking. It's not just posters on a wall.
Okay, so we get why it's critical. Let's nail down exactly what it is. What are we actually talking about when we say visual management?
Okay, so in simple terms, visual management is the deliberate strategic use of visual aids, pictures, charts, colors, signs to communicate information quickly and effectively in a workplace.
Okay, communicate info quickly?
Right. The main goal is to make the current status of the workplace, production, safety, inventory, whatever, immediately obvious, instantly understandable, even to someone just walking into the area for the first time.
Ah, so even a visitor should be able to get a basic sense of what's happening just by looking around?
That's the ideal, yeah. And it works because it taps into how our brains are built, doesn't it?
You mentioned that earlier, yeah.
The underlying idea is just that we humans process visual information way more effectively, way faster than text or just hearing something. Our brains are wired for patterns, colors, where things are.
Makes sense. Like trying to follow written directions versus just looking at a map. The map gives you that instant picture.
Exactly the same principle.
So what kind of tools are we talking about? It's more than just sticky notes, I assume?
Oh, definitely. It's a pretty broad spectrum. At the simpler end, you've got things like standardized signs, clear labels on everything, using color coding strategically.
Like using different colors to show different things?
Right. Maybe different colored bins for different materials, or tape on the floor marking walkways versus storage areas, or even color tags for tool status. Simple, but effective.
Okay.
Then you move towards more complex visual displays. Things like production tracking charts, showing real-time progress, graphs of performance metrics that update automatically.
Digital dashboards, maybe?
Exactly. Digital dashboards showing KPIs are a big one now, all the way from simple tape to sophisticated software displays.
Gotcha. So a whole range from low-tech to high-tech, but they're all aiming for the same thing.
Yes. The core purpose is always to provide that immediate, clear visibility into what's actually happening. Are we hitting our targets right now? Is that machine running okay? Is work flowing smoothly? Or is there a bottleneck?
Making the answers obvious just by looking.
Precisely. And also, crucially, making problems or deviations stand out, making them visible early.
You gave the toolboard example, which was great. Any other sort of concrete examples to make it really click?
Sure. Let's think about, say, a visual production schedule on a manufacturing line. Imagine a large board showing each step for different jobs or orders.
Okay.
You could use color-coded cards or magnets for each order. Maybe green means it's on schedule, yellow means it's a bit behind, red means it's seriously delayed.
So anyone walking by, the operator, the supervisor, even someone from another department can instantly see the overall flow.
Exactly. They can see the status of everything, identify potential issues, see where the roadblocks might be, all at a glance. It's a real-time snapshot.
That's powerful.
It is. But, and this is really important, something the source has stressed. Visual management is way more than just putting up some charts and colors.
Okay.
It's really about cultivating an entire environment of transparency. An environment where information is easy to access, where problems have nowhere to hide because they're visible,
Right.
and where everyone feels that shared responsibility for spotting issues and making things better.
So it's a cultural thing too, not just putting up signs. It changes how people interact with their work and each other.
Exactly. It's about how information flows and how people engage with it.
Okay, this sounds incredibly useful. So for someone listening thinking, all right, I'm interested, how do I actually start doing this? What are the key steps?
Well, the absolute first, most critical step is identifying the key information, what needs to be communicated visually.
So figuring out what's actually important to see.
Yes. What are the vital signs of the operation? Production targets, performance metrics, safety procedures, standard work steps, inventory levels. You need to focus on what's really crucial for people to do their jobs well and understand the current state.
Keep it relevant, concise, clear.
Exactly. Don't clutter it. Then, step 2 is designing the actual visual displays. How will you show that key info? Charts, graphs, simple signs, color codes. digital screens.
And the focus here is making it super easy to understand, right? Not about winning art prizes.
Absolutely. Clarity and simplicity are king. It needs to be understandable at a glance. Visual appeal helps grab attention, sure, but the main job is clear communication. Fast, accurate communication.
Makes sense. You don't want the visual itself to be confusing.
Precisely. Step 3 is about implementing visual controls. Now, these go beyond just showing info. They actively highlight when things go wrong, when there's a deviation, and they often trigger some kind of action.
Okay, like...
Think of the and-on lights or cords on an assembly line. A worker pulls a cord, a light goes on, maybe music plays it, signals a problem immediately.
Yeah.
Or Kanban cards, a visual signal that materials need to be replenished.
Ah, so they're not just passive displays, they're active signals demanding attention or action.
Exactly. They make abnormalities impossible to ignore and prompt an immediate response to fix the issue. Get things back on track quickly.
Okay, what's next?
Step 4, and this is absolutely vital, is training. You have to train everyone on how to use and interpret the system.
Right, it's no good having fancy visuals if nobody knows what they mean or what to do.
Precisely. People need to understand the displays, the controls, what the different colors or signals mean, how to respond, and maybe even who needs to update certain information. Everyone needs to be on the same page.
Makes sense. Is that it?
Almost. The final step, step 5, is recognizing this isn't a one-and-done project. You need to regularly review and improve the system.
Ah, continuous improvement again.
You got it. Processes change, new problems crop up, needs evolve, so you have to revisit the visual system periodically. Are the displays still effective? Do we need new controls? Is more training needed? You keep refining it.
So it's like a cycle. Identify the info, design the visual, implement controls, train everyone, and then keep reviewing and tweaking. It's an ongoing commitment.
That's it. Exactly. You're embedding visual communication and transparency into the daily rhythm of work.
So let's kind of wrap this up. We've explored how visual management, this key lean idea, brings some really big wins, right? Better clarity, faster problem solving.
Proactive problem solving, yeah.
Fostering that continuous improvement culture by making things visible and boosting employee engagement by, well, empowering people with info they can actually see and use.
It's pretty amazing how much leverage you get from these sometimes quite simple visual cues. The impact on efficiency and just overall effectiveness is huge.
And thinking about you, our listener, someone who values getting up to speed quickly, understanding things without being swamped, visual management really delivers that for a workplace, doesn't it?
It really does.
It takes stuff that could be complex processes, data, and just boils it down into something you can grasp visually. Instantly. No more wading through reports. The key info is just there.
It really is that shortcut to being well-informed about what's happening on the ground. Makes operations accessible, understandable.
So here's maybe a final thought to chew on. Think about all the different environments you move through every day. Work, home, wherever. Where could applying these basic ideas, just making important information instantly visible, lead to some unexpected improvements?
That's a good question.
Maybe in efficiency or just better understanding between people. Start looking around, see where things aren't clear, and imagine how making them visual might change things. You might be surprised what opportunities you spot.